Hello everybody and welcome back to the Athlete Podcast. Today I'm joined by Lucy Robinson, who is a GB women's wheelchair basketball player. It's lovely to have you with us, Lucy. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, thanks. Great to be here.
Awesome. So I think we'll just shoot right into it. How did you sort of get started in women's wheelchair basketball? What was the catalyst for that then?
So I used to be a football player.
Yeah.
And I had an accident on roller skates, which meant that I got the condition called avascular necrosis, which is in my left hip. So I could no longer play running sports and knew that I wanted to keep doing sports. So found wheelchair basketball, went to a give it a go session, and played ever since then.
Okay, so that you were 12, 13 years old at this point.
Yeah.
That must have been a very weird time for you, because I know that if that sort of thing had happened to me when I was 12, I wouldn't have really been in the know. I would have only really cared about, what I cared about really, football, going to school, etc.
Yeah.
So what was that time like for you, going from being able-bodied to having a lot of adversity chucked into your life just almost at like the blink of an eye?
Yeah, it was difficult because obviously all my friends at school, there was no one in my school in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So to be the only one and had to be in a wheelchair for more than 6 months, like at first, and then I went to 2 crutches and 1 crutch. So my school life had to change a lot, and a lot of my lessons got moved to be downstairs, and even got a stair lift. So I used the stair lift quite a lot. My friends would carry my bag for me. But sport specifically was like a big challenge because I loved PE and I couldn't really be involved anymore.
Yeah.
So wheelchair basketball helped a lot because even though I couldn't participate in PE at school, I would get to carry on with my sport outside of school and at the weekends. So it was the pros and cons because I missed out on things I wanted to be involved in, but I loved wheelchair basketball and the people there. So
So for anyone that's not in the know, wheelchair basketball is really, really good sort of para sport because anybody can be a part of it. Even as far as I'm aware, even able-bodied people can take it up and they can sort of get involved, which is really different to a few others like wheelchair rugby and things like that, where it's limited to only the disabled people can join. So as we talked about earlier, you mentioned that you found a taster session for wheelchair basketball. Was it Leicester City?
Leicester Cobras wheelchair basketball team.
And so what was the experience like going to that as someone that is now a wheelchair user, and you sort of, it's maybe your first time introduced in that environment where everybody else is not in the same boat but sort of dealing with similar challenges?
Yeah, it was nice when I went there to see other people that were like me.
Yeah. Because
in my day-to-day life, my friends, family, distant family, friends, no one else was like me. So it was nice to be around people that were either in wheelchairs or had disabilities, and even those that aren't necessarily visible, like you said. Sorry. Okay. Like you said, people that aren't disabled can play as well.
Yeah.
So people that are their brothers and sisters that are able-bodied. So it was a nice environment to be with people that are from all different backgrounds, all ages, all abilities, to suddenly be around and exposed to all those things, which I wasn't at all. So yeah, being in a wheelchair and then arriving there, I was really nervous to think, what's everyone going to think of me? I'm going to be the odd one out, or I'm going to look weird, or maybe everyone's going to be so much better than me that I'm not going to like it. But none of those things mattered as soon as I arrived, because everyone was so welcoming and everyone was just sort of on an even playing field.
Yeah. But then as it turned out, in reality, it was sort of like a love at first sight sort of deal.
Yeah, massively.
Immediately began training with them, and all of these doors started to open up. As you said, like you went to is it a DICE camp?
Yeah, so it was Diploma in Sporting Excellence.
Yeah.
So we were the first para sport to be involved in that programme, and it meant that we got UCAS points as well. So it was a great programme, and we were able to learn about off-court things like nutrition and like sports what's involved in sports. It isn't just the actual sport, so like the background, the business side of things. So we get qualification in that, as well as playing sport.
Yeah. Well, I've jumped ahead of myself a little bit there. So you were playing in the league with the Leicester Cobras for a little bit, and then you were offered that opportunity.
Yeah.
And it was there that you were recognised as a talent by the GB coaches.
Yeah.
And invited to a further session to sort of maybe show what talent you have.
Yeah, so it was perfect timing because the DICE camp was finishing in Stoke Mandeville where the Paralympic Games started. So the DICE camp finished, and on that same day in the afternoon the GB women's arrived. Yeah. So I saw them all arrive in awe of them, really, like, wow, that's what I could be one day, but never thought it would be me. And then suddenly my manager coach came up to me and said the GB coaches were watching that session and said that they wanted you to be involved. So I then got thrown in at the deep end and joined in with their session, and I had this really big wheelchair that was not made for me. It was just one that the club had. Yeah. So, and all these girls were in these amazing wheelchairs, and they were so fast and so good at basketball. Yeah. So I felt like the newbie, but it was such an amazing like hour of my life to be like, this is such a high level that I could be one day. Yeah.
And so, how did that change your aims and what you were looking to achieve in maybe in the next 10 years at that point?
Well, it changed massively because I think I was hoping to do this DICE course and then get some UCAS points and go to uni. Yeah. And then after I did that session, the coaches then said to me, like, what's your next step in life? And I said, university. And they said, would you consider Sheffield Hallam or Sheffield Uni for your degree, because we're based there now? So I was like, perfect. Like, it's literally all set in stone, and it fell into place nicely because I could just go to Sheffield, which is an amazing uni anyway for primary school teaching. So I kind of started off my career sort of by accident.
Yeah. I mean, that's an amazing opportunity to get. But it was sort of from when you had the go-to taster session with Leicester Cobras, there was sort of a defined path for you from there as going up into the league. I'm not sure if you knew about the DICE apprenticeship. Apprenticeship?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure if you knew about the
like
DICE.
Diploma.
Yeah. At that time, but it was certainly a pathway to bigger things, and then from there, I mean, it was like planting a tree, right? There's just all of these different ways that it could go, and different ways that you could take it, really, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And so you're in university and you're studying primary school teaching, right?
Yeah.
And alongside that, you're training with GB. So how does that affect your social life, studying, your lectures, and other different obligations that you have, like seeing family and friends and whatnot?
I mean, I definitely had a different uni experience to what my other friends were having. Yeah. So I would have to arrive at lectures. I had to have my car with me because I had to drive from lectures to training quite a lot. Yeah. So having my car even itself was quite odd at uni because everyone was walking everywhere or getting the train.
You must have been the talk of the town.
Yeah, everyone loved me having a car. Like, take me to Tesco. I loved it though. So I'd often arrive in kit and then drive to training after. Yeah. And then when I was in placement, actually in schools, it was difficult because I had like the World Championships in Thailand coming up, but I had to be in school for those times. It was like a 6-week block, and it was in the middle of that, and everyone was like, you aren't going to be able to get that off, like you cannot get time off when you're in placement. And I said, well, I need to go to the World Championship, so what should I do? And the teachers were amazing, and my uni mentors were amazing, and lecturers, and they helped me with extensions and deadlines and things like that, and they helped me move my placement to be after. But it definitely made things like you said, social life and family and friends hard, because I'd be at training till 9-10 p.m. and had GB training, and I had Sheffield Steelers training. I had games at weekends, so my friends would want to go out and I wouldn't go out. So yeah, it definitely made things different, but I wouldn't change it.
No, absolutely. But I mean, it doesn't, staying on this topic, it doesn't really change all that much even now you're outside of uni. You've got the teaching opportunities that you do. You've still got those same social obligations with family, friends, etc. Same training, although even I assume it's a bit more rigorous now. How even now do you sort of deal with any of that? Because you just sort of like throwing the book at it every week, I'd assume, because that's just too much to be doing.
It is a lot of things to do. I think it helps that my brain likes doing loads of stuff.
Yeah.
So when I have time off, I just want to be doing something, especially being in the gym, being active.
Yeah.
So I think I'm fortunate that my brain works that way. So I want to be doing things. So even in time off, I'll drive how many hours and go see friends, because I don't want to just be at home.
Yeah.
Because I love doing things and I'll plan things with my family. But it's really hard, like having to make sacrifices and miss out on things that all your friends and family are going to that you can't go to.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, can't you just miss basketball one time? And you can't. Like, it's my job as well as my hobby, so you can't just call in sick to work and just lie about it. Well, you can, but I can't.
You shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't. And I can't be doing that. So especially when you've got a big tournament coming up, I want to be there training and preparing with the team. I don't want to be off missing that. So yeah, sacrifices come.
Absolutely. I'm along the same lines. Sacrifices, big tournaments. What does the preparation for a big tournament look like? Do you change the way that you're dealing with training? Is there more of it? Do you have maybe more gym sessions, etc.? How do you feed yourself? What does any of that change? Does your diet change on the lead up to anything, any big championships, tournaments, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, everything changes for all of us, really. Like, we've got nutritionists, we've got a psychologist, we've got physiotherapists, lifestyle, S&C, everything. And all of those people come together and like ramp up, like you said, the gears kind of thing. Yeah. So training gets harder, gets more frequent. Everyone that's dotted across the world that's training in Germany, France, Spain, America, come back. So all this summer we've trained all together. We've been to Holland, we've been to Germany, Canada have come to play us in Manchester. So we try and get as many friendly tournaments in as possible. We went to China, played China and USA there. So we pretty much played all the teams that we were going to face in the Paralympics. Yeah. So quite a big preparation is practicing against the teams that we're going to face. Nutrition wise, we meet with a nutritionist and talk about what we want in our game to be in the next few months. So I wanted to be stronger and be more lean. So my diet changed to be more protein based, less carb, more protein, and I was in the gym more, trying to get my strength up. Yeah. So I know everyone had their own little goals that they had. Okay. And specifically the psych, like I worked with to work on a mental preparation. So in games, on game day, the night before game day, I wanted to have my own thing that I could do so that I would do the same thing every day. Yeah. So I really worked on imagery. So before a game, I'll close my eyes and practice imagery. I do it the night before. Do it a few reps. Yeah. So
just sort of visualizing the outcome of what you want from the game.
Yeah. I would pick 3 things that I wanted to do well that game that I was going to focus on. Okay. Close your eyes and then practice doing those things really well, like 4 or 5 times. Have a break, do it again. Have a break, do it again, and then do that the night before and do it the day of. So that's been quite a big change in my game, is like my mental performance.
Would you say that it makes a huge difference to stay on top of your mental health?
Yeah, massively. Like having mental readiness and like mental toughness, especially at elite level, is really important and definitely not talked about enough. Like the fact that you need all of your team, there's 12 people in a basketball team, so when all of you are there in a really high pressure environment with each other every day, you've got to make sure that you're all looking after each other, looking after yourselves, and that you're all ready to play. Like if you've got 5 of you ready to play and 3 of you really feeling not confident at all, not wanting to play or not feeling well or whatever it is that's getting them down, you need to have a switch to be like, right, there's a game tomorrow, this is what I'm going to do. So yeah, mental readiness, mental performance has been quite a big shift in our team this year.
And you like you said, you've got psychologists on site to help you with all of that sort of thing. Yeah. And it sort of improves the morale of the team. Yeah. Going into tournaments, things like that.
Yeah, huge. And we had a big push on our team culture this summer. So I had a brand new team psych, and he's amazing. And he's worked with like GB hockey, GB women's netball. So having him involved has been really, really helpful and really pushing like our team culture, and performance isn't personal. And just knowing that whenever we say something or give feedback, or the way we talk to each other might be how it comes across in the moment as a bit loud or not in the right tone, but know that it's not personal. We just want the best for each other. So we've been really trying to learn like how we can best perform off court as well as on court. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because you've got all of these things. I'm sure that this won't apply to you as much as a normal person that isn't sort of training, eating almost like you're looking at it on a macro scale about how these amounts of certain parts of the food pyramid can affect your game. But there's a big link really between the food that you eat and your mental health and how your body reacts to what you put in, really. You know, at the end of the day, if you put in bad food, you're going to get a bad outcome. In terms of training, in terms of your mental readiness for the day, you know, it can really, really affect you. But with all that said, some people, especially, you know, people like me, we got to eat some bad food. But I'm sure you can sort of empathise with that. So, what do you do when you have a cheat meal? When's the right time, and what are you having?
Oh, I think like one thing we've been practicing as a team as well is changing our language for about talking about like cheat meals. Is like it's not bad. It's not that you're going to eat clean or you were eating bad. It's how you can feel your body. So I think specifically like this year we've been having more nutritionist talks on like what we can eat to help us perform rather than just what we want to eat. But like gotta love a takeaway, haven't you, now and again?
Of course.
I think like especially I wasn't really doing it much pre-Paris, but post-Paris I've had a couple of takeaways and I think I haven't been used to it, so it's just having what you want to eat but knowing your limits as well.
Yeah, because there's right and wrong times to treat yourself, really. You know, if you've been exercising that day, go ahead, have a chocolate bar, have a biscuit, whatever it is. You know you've worked for that and you've earned it. But then if you've had a very not so active day, it's probably a better idea to eat less because you've not burned as many calories. It's probably a better idea to eat better food so you sort of feel better, feel more in touch with your body and your mind. But it's always interested me.
Yeah, I think it's
when
good
the right time to eat a bad meal is.
Yeah, I think it's good to like talk to someone that like knows, because I would do the same thing that you said and like guess and just eat less because I thought that was the right thing to do. Yeah. And then the nutritionist would be like, you need to eat this many grams less carb, this many grams more protein. Yeah. And then I would like alter the way that I would think about what I was eating rather than saying like, I'm not going to eat that meal because I haven't done enough exercise today. It'd be like, right, let's have this many grams less. So I think it's just being more aware and like educated about foods and like your body and what you need, rather than just saying I'm going to have less, I'm going to have more. I think that's helped me a lot, is knowing my body and what helps me. And like if I know I've got a game, I know that having a big dinner really helps me the next day because I fueled myself properly. But if I've had a big breakfast but a small dinner and then hungry in the morning, like I think it's working out with your body what works best for you.
Okay. Well, on the subject of big meals, food, I'm going to segue this onto the Paralympics now.
Okay.
So the athlete village, we all know that there's a food hall.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed to find out recently that there isn't a McDonald's in there.
No.
Honestly, quite heartbreaking. I think you all deserve that. I might start a petition, to be honest. But the athlete village, the food hall, etc., it can be a blessing and a curse, because you know you might have your event could be on the 7th day, whereas some people are finished by the 3rd, and they're in there just enjoying all of the luxuries and the great sort of fried foods that you may not be able to eat until you've completed your event.
Yeah.
When you go to the Paralympics, what is the vibe around the athlete village and just around the whole Team GB, Paralympics GB, maybe universe or world that they've got going on?
I mean, like you say, it's definitely a blessing and a curse. They've got foods from all over the world in there. So you've got a world food section, a French food section, an Asian food section, a dessert section, salad section. They've got literally everything you can think of in there. And it's open 24 hours a day. So whenever you're feeling a bit hungry, you just go. They had a fresh on-site bakery where you'd get baguettes every day and chocolate bread.
And these muffins.
The muffins, the cookies, at all times. There's Costa dotted around everywhere, which is amazing. But yeah, I found it hard to find food that I liked in the food hall. Like, I think it's quite surprising because it's got everything in there, but it was a lot of fried food.
Yeah.
And a lot of veg that was kind of watery, I'd say.
I did hear this from a lot of people. They're saying that the food in France wasn't.
They wouldn't
so
have
good.
the holes in the spoon, so when you would get the watery veg, they wouldn't like drain it, so it'd get put on your plate and then it would be watery. So my go-to was tuna. It's a bit of a thing. I've become known in the team as being obsessed with tuna, but it keeps me going. And I can have a Canada breakfast, lunch, dinner, or like a snack, and it's high protein, and I just have a sandwich basically all the time.
I'm absolutely obsessed with tuna too. I no joke, it's every single day in work. That's my lunch, is a little wrap, tuna, a little bit of mayo, lettuce.
I love tuna so much.
Too easy as well. That's what it is. So more on the Paralympics.
Yeah.
What is the experience like when you're there? You know, apart from the food, of course, and they're watery.
Vegetables. I mean, it's incredible. Like the vibe. You're all living in your own block. So we have the Paralympics GB house, and then you've got a few steps away the food hall. A few steps away you've got Canada, USA, Germany, Netherlands, New Zealand, all in a strip.
Yeah.
And then there's bikes that that you just jump on whenever you want, and then leave it wherever you want, and then somebody else will get on it whenever they want.
Oh, okay.
So I had my electric scooter, but I had a few punctures, so I was cycling around a bit. It's huge. Loads of people that you meet from different countries, different sports. You pin trade, like obviously I'm obsessed with. Costa's around. Everything really. Anything you can think of is in the Olympic Village.
Oh, okay. But then you go further than that, you're competing and things like that. And this would be your first time competing in front of a crowd.
Yes.
How did that make a difference on the performance of the whole team for you? Or
I think for me, I was nervous. I thought I was going to hate the crowd. Because Tokyo, there was just no one there because of COVID. So yeah, Paris has 15,000 people, sold out venue. Every game was sold out basically. It was mega. It was loud. The lights were so bright. The noise from the people. It was just such a large scale event, which I hadn't had before. It's what?
It's almost visceral. You just there's not enough time to take.
No, there isn't. So luckily we had one session in the arena where we would go and train and look around and get used to the lights and the feel and the stadium and everything, and the ball and the court and the baskets. So I'm glad we had that, because I went in and imagined everyone was there and trained on the baskets, knowing what it feels like and knowing it's just a ball and it's just a court. But the second I came out and I looked around, it was just, felt like Ed Sheeran or someone singing. At one point the lights all went off and everyone had their torches on, like waving around. I literally felt like I was Ed Sheeran singing a song.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, it seems like it's a very fleeting moment too. It's only 14 days.
Yeah.
You get to, and some athletes, they don't even get to spend the full 14 days if they finish early.
Some people went home.
They'll fly home. It's a really, really fleeting moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing that they give you these phones and bottles and things like that. You
Everything.
can remember it. Yeah. But for someone that maybe would be looking to get to the level that you're on, what sort of tips would you have for them in terms of maybe their mental discipline, their fortitude, resilience, and what would you say is just the number one thing to keep up with the kind of life that you live?
I would say number one is have a backup plan, have a plan B. Don't expect sport to be the be all and end all. You might get an injury, don't know what's going to happen, so you need to have a backup plan. Whether it's a job, whether it's qualifications, anything that you want it to be.
Yeah.
Mental discipline, like you said, I think learning what you need to perform. Don't expect that you're going to go into a game and be feeling your best. So if you're not, it's okay, you'll have a routine that you go to. That's something I've really found helpful recently, so I wish I developed that sooner. And also just sport is really important, but like so are family and friends. Like make sure you make time, because you'll be living these amazing moments and they'll be so proud of you, but make sure like you have time for them as well, and let them know what's going on in your life. Keep people involved.
That is really, really important. We've had a lot of athletes come through here and they said that they don't regret, but it's one of the biggest things that you have to sacrifice is missing out on weddings, christenings, funerals even, and it sort of it leaves a hole that they can't really fill, because those things only come around maybe once, twice a year. And so having to be away or out for that is, you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, do you?
No.
But hopefully with all that you've got going on, you'll be able to find a little bit more, maybe make it a bit easier with you working for Sports Champions. Becoming an athlete, you can do it flexibly. You can visit as many or as little schools as you want every single month and get paid to do so. So I think it's something that any athlete should at least consider, especially up and coming. Because the pressure to train full time but then also have a job to even support yourself, maybe you've got equipment that you need to buy, maybe that you've got competition costs that you need to pay, travel, things like that. Do you think it'd be important to you in your career, or is it more that you're motivated by your uni background, you want to inspire children and that aim that you've got in the future?
Definitely. I think that's my main goal, is see more children involved in sport from a young age, so that sport becomes part of their life growing up, because sport was so important to me growing up and made such a positive impact on my life. I want other children to experience that too, and know that there's experiences out there and opportunities for all children, all women, all disabled children, everyone. There's opportunities for everyone out there. So I think seeing somebody like me, female, disabled, love sport, hopefully will inspire them. And also, wheelchair basketball is a very expensive sport.
Absolutely.
I think people don't realise the costs of wheelchair basketball and equipment for one wheelchair, wheels, wheel bag, spares for wheelchairs is just mega. Kit, travel, competitions, we do so much. So not only do I want to inspire children, but helping me fund my sport is obviously important. But I love going into schools, especially primary schools, and seeing children for the first time see somebody in a wheelchair and just knowing that they're probably going to remember that forever is such a nice experience for me.
No, that is awesome. We can't wait to send you into schools to begin inspiring children. But that seems like a perfect note to end it on. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It's all our pleasure, honestly. And thank you everybody for watching, and we hope to see you soon.